Hi everyone, my name is Jessie. Welcome back to my channel. So today, I thought it would be fun to try a chapter trend. So if you don't know what this is, I have 3 fantasy books here that are all a part of my buddy reads that were this year with Elle from Elliott Brooks. And I am super behind on our buddy reads. And these are the 3 books that I haven't read yet that I need to, as well as a couple of others. But I thought it would be fun to try a chapter from each of these 3 books, see which one is the most compelling, and that will help me decide which one to prioritize first. And Plum Deluxe was so kind and sent me 3 of their teas, and I thought it would be fun to try a chapter from 3 books and try a tea from Plum Deluxe. So the 3 flavored teas that I have are pumpkin spice, of course. If you've seen my Cozy Autumn book tag, you know I love pumpkin spice everything, so I had to get the pumpkin spice. Red velvet dessert tea, which sounds amazing. Chocolatey deliciousness in your cup. Sounds so good. And this one, decaf toasted marshmallow black tea. A tea for celebrating being playful and having fun. Sounds perfect. So a little bit more about the books. I have A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan, which is the first book in a series that I've been wanting to read for a while. I know Angela from Literature Science Alliance just read this and really enjoyed it. I know Kitty G also really likes this series, so I've been wanting to try this one. Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. So I've heard so many mixed reviews on this book. I've heard it's sci-fi fantasy, really eccentric kind of writing, and can get kind of confusing, but so many people love it for that and love the main character. So I'm just like very curious what I'm gonna think of this given the mixed reviews. And then we have The Tethered Mage by Melissa Caruso, which I have not heard anyone talk about, and I'm not gonna lie, the cover really intrigued me. We'll see which of these 3 have the best and most compelling first chapter, and we'll see which tea I like the most. Let's start with the pumpkin spice tea, since it is like pumpkin spice season. And we'll start, I feel like pumpkin spice goes well with A Natural History of Dragons. So here's round 1. I have my first tea. Got my little kitty cat. Let's try the pumpkin spice. Oh my gosh. That is so wonderful. Oh, my kitty fell in. I know you want to drink it too. It's so good. Yeah, that's really good tea. Okay, let's get reading. All right, just finished up the first chapter of A Natural History of Dragons, and it had a preface, so I read both the preface and chapter 1, figured that would give it more of a fair shot. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this book. It's not the typical fantasy book. It's told as if it's like a memoir, and Lady Trent is writing her memoir, and she's talking kind of directly to you as the reader, as if you kind of know who she is and her story already and stuff like that. So it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek like that, but it's this is going to be a weird comparison. It's almost like if Jane Austen were to write a fantasy novel. That's like the feel of it, which could be very appealing to some people. I don't know how I'm going to feel. The first chapter, it's always hard to go off of the first chapter of a fantasy book, because sometimes it takes a while to get your footing in the world and stuff. But it was a little bit boring. So I'm really hoping it gets spiced up later in the book, because it's a pretty dry first chapter. It was just talking about Lady Trent, her as a kid, reminiscing on her being fascinated with birds. And that's what led her to being fascinated with dragons. So, cool. We shall see how I like this book. But so far, I don't know. I don't know if I'll like it. So that is book 1 down. I love the tea. The tea is very good. Pumpkin spice Plum Deluxe tea does not disappoint. I think the next tea I'm gonna try is the toasted marshmallow black tea. And I'm gonna try Gideon the Ninth. Kind of like the coloring of the tea and the coloring of the cover kind of goes together. That's what we'll do next. I'm really curious what I'm going to think of this writing style. And this tea sounds divine, so I'm very excited. Oh my god. How did they make it taste like marshmallows? Oh, that is so yummy. Oh my god, I can't stop drinking it. I'm so impressed. It actually tastes like marshmallows. Okay. That tea might be winning. It gives me high hopes for the book. Let's get reading. It's the next day. I was not able to finish all 3 books and 3 teas in one day due to mom duties. So here I am to give you my thoughts on the first chapter of Gideon the Ninth, which I did just finish. Very interesting. Very unique voice. And definitely a little bit more straightforward type fantasy sci-fi story. It definitely has some sci-fi elements, but I would say, at least from the first chapter, it seems like it's going to feel more fantasy. And I think Gideon is going to be a really interesting character. She's very sassy, has some sarcasm. I like her humor that she has. So I'm very curious about Gideon. I don't know what's going on at all, no idea, but I'm curious to know more. I think the world could be pretty interesting, but it seems like it's gonna take a while to figure out what is going on. We did get a little hint of necromancy as being kind of the magic that may be in this book, which is kind of fun. I don't know that I've ever read magic based on necromancy in a fantasy book. No, not exclusively necromancy. So I'm very curious how that's going to play out. I loved my toasted marshmallow tea, so that was a huge hit. So far I'm intrigued, but I'm confused, which I think is to be expected. I think it's time for round 3, which is our red velvet dessert tea. I figured it would be best to finish out on the dessert tea, and we will read the first chapter of The Tethered Mage by Melissa Kurosu. Here's the tea. Oh boy, it's actually pink, like red velvet. I love it. That's pretty good. Not as strong of a red velvet taste as I was expecting, but it's got a nice aftertaste. That's good. I do like that. Yeah. Okay, now I taste it, I think. Oh, I taste it now. That's very good. That's very good. I'm gonna get reading. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. That first chapter read really quick, and I can already tell that this writing style is probably going to be my favorite of the 3 books. It feels the most straightforward. It feels the most to the point. I really like the feel of this from the first chapter. We have a girl who has a very, very powerful mother, and she is the heir to something that's unclear. Her mother is very clearly very powerful in this city that we're in. And a lot of people fear her mother, and therefore when she introduces herself, people are like, oh, you're her daughter. I really like that. And we get introduced immediately to magic and warlocks, which is very fun. So I really liked the feel of this one. Very easy to read, very quick. So this one I think might be my favorite so far, which was not what I was expecting, since it's the one that I've heard nothing about of the 3 that I've tried. So I think doing a quick wrap up, I'm gonna take another sip of my red velvet tea because it is so yummy. Now I really taste the red velvet. Let's wrap up what we've read and my rankings of each of the different books in tea. At the number 3 spot for my tea is the pumpkin spice, just because it's a solid pumpkin spice tea. I really liked it, but it wasn't anything super unique that I haven't had before. And then the number 3 book is gonna be The Natural History of Dragons. The first chapter was very dull. I'm sorry, but I was not hooked at all from that first chapter. I'm very nervous that I'm not gonna like it. I hope I will. I hope it's gonna start picking up. I mean, again, I think this experiment's really hard to do with fantasy books, because for me it takes a really long time to like get invested in a fantasy story, because you have to figure out where you are, figure out who you're following, like it's so new, everything's so brand new. So I'm hoping it'll pick up, but yeah, that first chapter was not the most compelling for Natural History of Dragons. So we're gonna put that in the number 3 spot. Number 2 for the tea is going to be Red Velvet. So yummy. If you like red velvet anything, I think you're gonna like this tea. Very, very strong red velvet tea. And then the number 2 book is going to be Gideon the Ninth. I'm very confused by the first chapter. I don't know what in the world is going on, but I'm intrigued by Gideon's character. I think she has a certain humor and snarkiness about her that makes her a little bit more endearing. And I'm excited to see what she is going to be up to in this book. But the world building is very confusing. I don't know what we're doing, why we're doing anything. I'm so confused. But I think, again, that seems to be the trend with me in fantasy books. After the first couple chapters, I usually don't know what's going on. It takes a while. And then let's do number 1. That toasted marshmallow tea was so incredible. It tasted like marshmallows. How do they do that? It tastes like marshmallows. You have to go get this tea. It's so good. It's so good. If you like s'mores, toasted marshmallow, oh, just delicious. And then the number 1 book is gonna be The Tethered Mage. I'm so surprised, but I like an easy, quick, to the point writing style. I like that we immediately had some intrigue. We immediately got introduced to really cool magic, and I love this kind of mystery of who this mother is and why she's so powerful, what that's going to mean for this daughter throughout this book. I think it's so fascinating. So I'm really intrigued by this book just from the first chapter. So hopefully this was kind of an interesting experiment for you. If you want to see me do this with some other type of book or genre, let me know, because this was really fun. I like seeing how impactful that first chapter of a book really is and how much it hooks you. Honestly, the only fantasy book I can really remember a first chapter from is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, because that first chapter was so dark and was such a great hook. So let me know if you like these and want to see more of them. It was really fun to do. And I highly recommend you go check out Plum Deluxe teas. They have so many flavors. It was so hard trying to pick out which flavors I wanted to try, but I'm very happy with my choices. Go get the toasted marshmallow one. It's amazing. And thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye.